that was the shofar calling all you, calling from the wildernessites. I think we need to come up with a cooler name. We'll just call you the cool dudes, dudettes,
Nana.
Nana. Nana. We're just gonna call you Nana. The Nazarenes, kind of like Nazarenes, but with Nana in it. I don't know.
We might not workshop this live because it might.
No, I think we should. I think we should workshop this live. Calling you all to our wonderful podcast. We're starting to get back into the groove of things. It's fall. It's still hot here, like the Dickens, but it's starting to get cooler. Okay. But when you're like high 30s and then it drops down to high 20s, you're like, oh, it's a lot cooler here. But it's still not normal. It's like I was talking to a real estate friend of mine about the housing prices here because it was insane. Like it was some house in Tofino sold for 1.2 million over the asking price, which was already quite high. And like you couldn't put in a bid at the asking price. It always had to be a couple $100,000 at least more than what they're asking for. There's a lot of wars. And so I was asking him, like, oh, it seems to be kind of leveling off a little bit. And he was like, a little. I was like, yeah, but also the houses are still super expensive and that like you think these are leveled off.
Yeah.
But it's only because you're not going above the asking price, which is still way higher than it really should be. So when you're super hot out and then it drops down a few degrees, you're like, oh, sweater weather. Nope, you're still Satan's butthole.
Yeah. Sweating weather.
Sweating. So yeah, that's where we're at right now. How's it over?
I was gonna say, we're raining. Been raining for the last few days. So it's not as gray as it sometimes is here, but it's been really muggy. So you kind of, the rain initially kind of cools it off, and then the humidity just skyrockets. So yeah, but as you say, it's just par for the course, and you end up getting used to things that you may not have done before. So
humidity and my hair just do not go hand in hand. It is just so I don't like the humidity. Yeah, it rained here Sunday, and then that was about it. Since then it's been hot, but it's progressively slowly getting cooler. And there's nothing cooler than the book we're going to look at this week, Proverbs chapter 8. Look at that segue, eh? Look at me and mall copping, segueing all over the place.
We should start with the shofar more often if this is the kind of quality we're going to get.
Oh yeah, we should do that. You can get the shofar app on your phone. There's a couple of different ones. I got the pink one.
Recommendation.
I got the pink one, shofar. What is it called? Shofar Shogo. Shofar Shogo. It's like kind of a reddish color. There's got like 5 different shofar noises on there. A lot of them sound like trumpet, like it's Remembrance Day.
This last one was good. That one you played with the Tarush, is that what you said it was?
It's called the Taruha.
Oh, Taruha.
Taruha. I think it's how you pronounce it. I didn't take Hebrew in school. I took. No, maybe it was Greek. It was either Greek or Hebrew with Dean Pinter. I sat in it for one class, and I was like, I'm gonna drop this. I'm gonna go do something else. I do not. Not only was it full with all the smart kids in Bible school, I was like, I didn't even pass French in like grade school. Like I passed it because the teacher was like, we'll just bump you up to a 50, but I didn't pass it. I don't want to deal with you anymore, so we'll give you 50. And I'm like, okay, cool.
And this is where your roots as a Pentecostal speaking in tongues just did not do you well.
Yeah, I was trying to interpret, and it didn't work. So obviously, French is not from God.
Yeah. Why do I have to tell you the cat is on the box? How is that edifying for the church?
The barn is red. Le chapeau est le rouge. Tu es la pomme. Which I think is I am an apple, but I'm not 100% sure.
It's great is like for all the things that we've said that maybe people would get upset with us for,
This
probably,
will be it.
butchering the French language. This will be the thing that puts them over. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, you can handle them, but the shofar and the bad French out.
Yeah, this is a terrible start to this
Yeah.
episode. It's
So we're
not
talking.
wise to to try French on air when you're not good at it. And I think that's what Proverbs 8 is all about.
Yeah, yeah.
Not
So
trying a new language.
yeah, live.
Alive.
Yeah. Well, yeah, as Derek said, we're going to look at the book of Proverbs this week. Thought we'd switch it up. We've been in the New Testament quite a lot, so we thought we'd jump back into the Old Testament and do something, the tried and tested method of Proverbs, which is, if you don't know which book of Proverbs to go to or a chapter of Proverbs to go to, just look at what date it is and go to the corresponding chapter. So today, 8th of September, we're hitting up chapter 8 of Proverbs.
I did not even pick up that that's what you were doing. I was like, oh, yeah, wisdom. Cool. Yeah, we'll talk wisdom. Eighth of,
Yeah.
I like it. That's
Yeah. So
reading through the Bible a year is you do the whatever kind of verse in the Old Testament,
yeah,
one chapter of Proverbs and a couple of Psalms. And that's you keep doing that every day and
keep working it.
keep working it. Work it.
Yeah.
Work
So
it.
yeah. So there we are. And today I thought we'll go back to a translation I don't think we've been in yet. So
Original Hebrew. The French translation.
This is the was it the Latin Vulgate via via modern day French, spoken by Derek Wilson.
The original text.
The original. How God intended it.
This is how God intended it. Move over, message.
Man, I'm surprised I haven't given you your own church yet. I just like, you think they would just walk in and hand you the keys and just say, go for it.
I think it's because they're worried the whole world would be saved, and they're like, we need a little opposition. Like we need, iron sharpens iron and stuff. And yeah, I think they're too worried, or that the pride would go straight to my head, and I would have a mega church and then get caught up in some kind of scandal and have to be disgraced.
Having too many pairs of shoes.
Too many pairs. Church give me Rolls Royces, finding cash and walls behind bathrooms.
Yeah. But if you did get your own private jet, you could come visit more often.
So ooh, worth it?
There's some benefits. Yeah. Cost benefit analysis.
I think so. It'd be a missions trip.
Well, let's see if Proverbs has anything to say to us today.
I don't know. I think we're doing pretty wise right now. I think all our conversations and our direction is very wisdom based.
There we go. Excellent. So I'm going to read for you Proverbs chapter 8. They've titled it "Wisdom Calls for a Hearing." Listen as wisdom calls out. Hear as understanding raises her voice. On the hilltop along the road, she takes her stand at the crossroads. By the gates at the entrance to the town, on the road leading in, she cries aloud. I call to you, to all of you. I raise my voice to all people. You simple people, use good judgment. You foolish people, show some understanding. Listen to me, for I have important things to tell you. Everything I say is right, for I speak the truth and detest every kind of deception. My advice is wholesome. There is nothing devious or crooked in it. My words are plain to anyone with understanding, clear to those with knowledge. Choose my instruction rather than silver, and knowledge rather than pure gold. For wisdom is far more valuable than rubies. Nothing you desire can compare with it. I, wisdom, live together with good judgment. I know where to discover knowledge and discernment. All who fear the Lord will hate evil. Therefore, I hate pride and arrogance, corruption and perverse speech. Common sense and success belong to me. Insight and strength are mine. Because of me, kings reign and rulers make just decrees. Rulers lead with my help, and nobles make righteous judgments. I love all who love me. To those who search will surely find me. I have riches and honor, as well as enduring wealth and justice. My gifts are better than gold, even the purest gold. My wages better than sterling silver. I walk in righteousness in paths of justice. Those who love me inherit wealth. I will fill their treasuries. The Lord formed me from the beginning, before he created anything else. I was appointed in ages past, at the very first, before the earth began. I was born before the oceans were created, before the springs bubbled forth in their waters. Before the mountains were formed, before the hills, I was born. Before he had made the earth and fields and the first handfuls of soil, I was there when he established the heavens, when he drew the horizon on the oceans. I was there when he set the clouds above, when he established spring deeps in the earth. I was there when he set the limits of the seas, so that they would not spread beyond their boundaries, and when he marked off the earth's foundations. I was the architect at his side. I was his constant delight, rejoicing always in his presence. And how happy I was with the world he created, how I rejoiced with the human family. And so, my children, listen to me, for all who follow my ways are joyful. Listen to my instruction and be wise. Don't ignore me. Joyful are those who listen to me, watching for me daily at my gates, waiting for me outside my home. For whoever finds me finds life and receives favor from the Lord. But those who miss me injure themselves. All who hate me love death.
Can you scroll up to the top again? Thank you. Sorry, I'm just looking something up.
No, you're all right.
Yeah.
In the story of the Bible, God
Working on your ventriloquism.
Yeah, well, I watched a Bible project on this, and they said something really interesting. Um, that I wanted to mention,
Mm.
but I can't remember where it is. Okay. Um, Sorry, what comes to mind for you? And then
Mm.
I will.
Yeah. I think the three things that kind of jump out to me for this is the first. I love the personification of wisdom. That it's not just like this strange concept that either people have or don't. That it's an actual kind of person who has this kind of life, and we participate in the life of wisdom, which I find really interesting to think about. And then there's the way that wisdom speaks about being created before the rest of the world, before the rest of creation, which I just again it kind of, I guess, some sort of things, just kind of mental exercise. I just think it's a fascinating kind of trip down the imagination lane, as it were. And then I think for me the final one is like, if even half of what is being said here is true, why do we waste so much time not pursuing wisdom? Like, it just,
Hmm.
you know it it's such a good sales pitch, like the talking about like wealth, talking about a good life, talking about the harmony that you'd share, um with God and with the rest of creation. It seems so, it would seem, it would seem foolish not to pursue wisdom. And yet, I know how much in my own life I don't. So those are the things that are kind of going on in my head as I was reading this today. But how about for yourself?
Yeah, the Bible Project does a good video on this. Um, and if I remember correctly, they break it up. Proverbs, the first 9 chapters. There's the wise, fatherly king, wisdom, uh, the uh, the untrustworthy man or the deceptive man or something, and then the woman of folly.
Okay.
And then they go through this one talking about wisdom, and if you go down a little bit, on the thing to where it talks about the kings.
This one here.
Yeah, so they talk about because of me, kings reign and rulers make decrees. That decrees is actually carving, like in tablets. That's
Okay.
that's what it means, and they liken that to Genesis, with God carving out his decrees in nature, and
Interesting.
that this chaos that comes without wisdom is a lot like the chaos before God's rule, before his commands that bring structure to the chaos. That wisdom is like that, where she's saying, my my essence, like wisdom, me, brings structure to kind of the chaos that we can find in the world, and these things that you can, like you said, running off after gold or money or fame or whatever, that my wisdom, my structure on how to live life is actually more valuable than all that. And actually, if you seek the way that I'm calling you to live, these things will line up. Maybe not the wealth or whatever, because I don't know if I hold to that, but that it's more better than gold, even the purest gold and all that. That once you get this, everything else kind of makes sense. So it's more of a wisdom is God's commands or his way of living, and following that, than just because when I used to read this, I would be like, "Oh, wisdom, that's just being smart." Like, what's the smartest way to do this? Solomon and the baby cutting in half. Like, oh, that's wise. I want to learn how to make good decisions. But it's more than that. It's actually the whole way of living the kingdom life. What is God calling you to? If you what God decrees, following that is the wisdom here, and out of that, then which I'm starting to think. I'm wondering if the wealth belongs to me and all that, and I'm bigger than rich and silver. It's that once you understand wisdom and you kind of fall in that living the kingdom life, then that stuff actually doesn't come that important. Maybe.
Yeah.
And so like you understand, like my wisdom far more valuable than rubies. Nothing you desire can compare to it. I wonder, because once you get the wisdom, then you realize the value of rubies and money and wealth and all that, and the sometimes the sin of greed and that with it.
Yeah, because it's a crazy thing, like and I say it's that, yeah, it's a crazy thing to think, like, that we put more value on money and the things that money can buy than we do on a human person,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, and you know, and there's obviously many different ways we can kind of see that, but I think, as you say, the crazy thing about our life, and this is true, completely 100% true within the church as well, is that I think, as you said, is like we've ignored wisdom because it hasn't made us rich in the way that we thought we needed to be, or that we wanted to be, or that we believe we should be. And you know, it's always very easy to say, as somebody who doesn't have exuberant amounts of money, that, you know, well, the you know, the aimless pursuit of exuberant wealth is just a waste of your time. And people will be like, well, that's just because you don't have enough of it. And
Yeah.
maybe I don't. But you know,
Well, yeah.
yeah, I was just gonna say, but I think the critique stands, and is something that we, you know, the church universal in many ways, particularly in the Western world, you know, continues to be a place of wealth and power, even if congregations are small, churches don't have a lot of money. The kind of the institution and the church and the structure of the church, as it's been in the developing Western world, um you know, it continues to be a place that holds all that, and actually, and we have relentlessly pursued um kind of earthly goods and earthly wealth. And we have, you know, we've tricked ourselves to even thinking that it matters what we do with it.
Mm-hmm.
Not, and so we've pursued it relentlessly, thinking that it was going to be for God's kingdom. And we might have used it for good, but the reality is that wealth comes from something, and often off the back of a devaluing
Yeah.
of something else, right? And
I would say extreme wealth. Because I know I grew up with the thought, you know, money can't buy happiness. And sure, if you've got a lot of money, adding a little bit more not gonna make you more happy. But if you're struggling to pay bills and you're not sure where you're gonna live next month because you can't pay rent,
yeah,
and you're like, I don't know where I'm gonna get food and stuff.
yeah,
Money can bring happiness,
mm,
and knowing that. So I think that this, but I also, just as you're talking, I wonder if we also have tied wisdom and intelligence together, where
absolutely.
like we look to smart people for wisdom. Like I'm thinking like Elon Musk, or
Mm,
you know, all these rich people who
mm,
are intelligent, and we're learning from them ways to live. Or I keep getting feeds pop up on social media about, you know, how to get into real estate and how to make
mm,
money this way and how to do this way, and all that, and by some smart people. It's like,
mm,
oh, okay, like they're smart this way.
mm,
And then all of a sudden I'm getting my wisdom on how to live from people who
yeah,
are rich just because they're smart. And
mm,
I don't think that they, like, I don't know them, so this is just
mm, mm,
pure speculation and judging the book by its cover. But I don't know if I would come to them about how to live my life in loving
mm,
my neighbor, or
mm,
advancing the kingdom, or
mm,
um,
mm.
you know, living a good life
Yeah, yeah.
and not screwing people over. So this
Mm,
intelligence, wisdom, and
mm,
with social media and everything, it's becoming harder and harder to tell, because um,
mm,
everyone's got an opinion, right? So all these smart people who have big platforms,
mm,
or podcasters like us, we you can listen to them and be like, oh yeah, no, that's wisdom, and really it's just intelligence or
mm,
wealth that is made them so
mm,
well known,
mm,
and not wisdom how to live.
mm. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and I think you're right too, because I think what comes to mind for me is like that sense of like, you know, what makes us think that they're wise is that they have somehow achieved some sort of level or status within a construct that we think holds the ultimate understanding of value, purpose, and meaning. And I think, yes, you can be intelligent and smart within that context, but is that, as you say, is that like actually the wisdom that stands? And even like this chapter, like that sense that like wisdom was there before humankind, before, you know, the oceans were even set and the hills came about. Like that wisdom is something that underpins the the reality of the possibility of new life. And also too, you know, it speaks about in the last in the last few
Can
verses.
you hear that?
Oh yeah, yeah, that was amazing. You almost needed the
I know
shofar to go with it.
yeah,
And
yeah, we can see
and
her,
yeah.
and we can hear
And
her.
yeah, there you go. But you know, in these last few verses, it, you know, talks about like, you know, when you found wisdom because you find joy. You know,
Mm,
you find a celebration, you find life. And it says all who hate me love death. And there's this, you know, there's this sense, I think too, like we're actually, you know, in the relentless pursuit for happiness and wealth and status, what people do is neglect the actual opportunity to live, and find nothing at the end of it but you know, a mass amount of objects, of things that then they can't even take with them beyond the grave, right? Like,
yeah,
and so that question about like how do we, you know, what is that big, it's not to say like that money is unimportant, as you said, especially for people who might find a bit of peace and joy knowing that their bills are paid for and they don't
yeah,
need to, you know, work 3 jobs and hope that they don't get fired by that, you know, like,
yeah,
and that there's enough food to their children are happy and able to succeed in school so they have better opportunities. Like I
yeah,
recognize that, you know, it's
yeah,
complicated, but that pursuit of wisdom for us and how we live out that wisdom, I
mm,
think is meant to hearken us or call us, I guess, to that, you know, that kingdom living, as you were saying in the beginning, that's meant to disrupt our sense of what we think value and wealth are, and what we put, you know, why does a substance that that is in the earth all of a sudden have a greater value than something else, and
mm.
often than the humans who then have to get it for the people who are paying for it,
Marijuana.
you know?
Okay.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah,
I'm still waiting
yeah,
for it. I'm still waiting for it. But
yeah,
like, and that challenge, I think, as you say, is like, is about like, you know, are we being called just to find, just to be intelligent people who can succeed in the structures that we're in, or is it meant to call us into a wise way of being in the world
yeah,
that recognizes a completely or a bigger or a deeper structure, meaning,
mm,
and purpose?
yeah,
And I think that the truth is it's same for the church when we, because we all have metrics in the church for how we understand how we're doing, and if you're part of an institutional church, it's not necessarily heavy handed, but you always do have to kind of answer for why are there X number of people in the pews and not why, you know, why are there, you know, why are certain things working and other things aren't, why is your neighbor's church doing better than your, like, and it continues to be those like metrics that we hold, and the question about for us is, you know, is that what we're meant to be doing? And
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, the Bible Project, when they were talking about wisdom being more than gold and stuff like that, they were
Mm,
talking about like relationships. Like with wisdom, you have
mm,
stronger relationships, and you're
mm,
caring for people, and the things that, as you say, when you pass on the things that are
mm.
lasting and can change people
Yeah, yeah.
more than
Mm,
being buried with its gold, like a
yeah,
pharaoh of old.
yeah.
Um,
But
yeah.
I think what's interesting too, like again, I recognize I come from a place where I, you know, on most days desperately wish I had a bit more money than I do.
Oh yeah.
um but you know, that kind of that question about like, you know, what is that relentless pursuit of you know, of subjective resources really doing for us and for our world? Like,
Yeah.
you know, like, you know, people seem to get divorced no matter how many billions of dollars they have. and seem just as unhappy, as some of us do. Like I just
Yeah.
yeah.
But I'd rather be crying in a Mercedes. But I think.
Was it? Oh, go ahead. No.
Well, yeah, but yeah, I would also say Solomon, the wisest man in the world, made a lot of terrible mistakes, and and wasn't the best at the end. But I think wisdom, knowing that and seeing that in other characters where they've fallen that, and putting your resources and your time into meaningful things, is wise. And bless some people who are wise financially and have money and help others with it quite a bit. We've got a few people in our church that are just unreal at that, and bless them, because without that, I don't know. Well, I mean, we'd say that God would make a way or something, but it's a lot easier to make a phone call than to have faith.
That's going to be our T-shirt for 2022.
It's easier to make a phone call than have faith.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, that's the wisdom for me.
Yeah.
But I never thought about. I would watch the Bible Project. You can just type in Bible Project, because they do a lot of tie-in with creation and that, and kind of put this chapter in the context of Proverbs 1 through 9, what they're saying, which helps out.
Sounds like a good recommendation, a wise recommendation.
Yes, absolutely. Well, I better get to work here.
Yeah, because you got singing office neighbors, and the shofar isn't going to play itself.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, it's good to be with everyone today, and and to say, go watch the Bible. Go look up the Bible Project. It's on YouTube, isn't it?
But I just Googled it and came up. It's one of their visual commentaries. They just kind of do a commentary on it. But Bible Project's unreal for everything. I love them. Yeah, they really make sense of a lot of stuff.
Excellent. There's your recommendation for the week.
There you go.
Take it easy, everyone.
All right. Blessings.
Bye.
Toodles.
Peace.
Stay wise.